Welcome in, college football fans and fan addict family. Listen, man, it's another episode of the Saturday Night Snap Count on the Fan Addict Sports Network. Man, listen, y'all gonna have to bear with me today. Lord, don't catch the ball. Oh, Jesus. Hey, man, listen. I went out on a limb trying to trust the OU fans that told me they had the best defense in the SEC and said that I would take a shot for every time the Tennessee score. Let's just say I'm two shades to the wind, man. I've been drinking margaritas too. We're gonna be all the way live tonight, man. So if you got thin skin, you might want to leave now. I'll just let you know, man. You got thin skin, you might want to leave now, man. Listen, we got our guys coming in here tonight. Before we get started, make sure y'all go follow all of them on their platforms, man. JJ, my guy JJ from Pitt Fan Talking College Football with JJ is Talking CFB with JJ Kitchen. My guy Shawty Parker 758, just my damn opinion. Y'all already know where to find me in the Stat Guy. My guy Andrew on Twitter is SSN_Penn State. My guy Jake should be showing up shortly at Coach_J Murr. And then I got Jason, who's at the game. Jason is not, listen, before y'all get in the comments saying Jason is ducking and all that, Jason at the game, man. Give the dude time to get in if he get a chance to get in, but he at the game. And when you at the game and you traveling and all that stuff, it's hard to get in. But Jason at College Football Hall of Fame, CFB-Pod. And our honorary member, Brinsky Sharp. That's right, Brinsky Sharp, man. So we're going to get into it today, man. But before we do, just a little news and notes. You know what I'm saying? If you are attending the game and you haven't bought tickets from SeatGeek before, go to SeatGeek. Promo code FanAddict Sports, and you get $20 off your first purchase. Listen, man, if I mess up some of these words, man, I'm 5 shots in already, and Tennessee looking to score. At this point, I'm just wanting them to. They can stop OU, man, but they don't need to score no more because we might not make it all the way through the snap count. But let's go ahead and bring in our fellas, man. Let's go ahead and bring in our fellas after the intro.
No, I got you on this one, Coach. It ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's right, man. You watch the Saturday Night Snap Count with Coach I and all of my good panel, man. They coming on, but y'all make sure y'all check us out every Saturday night at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. We do this every Saturday, man. Talk about the day's games. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I don't care what Brent Venables did. I don't care that he brought Michael Hawkins in. If y'all talk about this is on Jackson Arnold, I'm calling you out. I'm not Jason, so I'm not going to mute you. I'm not going to kick you out, but I'm just letting you know if you talk about Jackson Arnold and he's the reason why, I'm going to call you out. We're going to get into a lot of this. We got other games to talk about as well, but I'm just saying, though, this is not all on Jackson Arnold. I just going to let y'all know before y'all do that. So let's go ahead and bring him in, man. It's my first guy up, man. So I got Shawty Parker, just my damn opinion. What's going on, Shawty?
Coach, can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, I can hear you a little. You good?
Well, I'm happy to be here, man, but I'm also just here so I won't get fined.
Right. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, Shawty, you might want to restart your thing. It's doing that thing again where it talk real fast. My guy, Andrew from Sideline Sports, Penn State. Played a cupcake and beat them like there was a cupcake. What's going on, Andrew?
Oh, I'm doing great. Funny enough, Penn State had the most yards in a single game in Penn State history today, 719 to 65. So it was a very easy watch today.
Right. That's what I'm talking about, though. Like, even though it's Kent State, you handled them like they was Kent State. That'd be my whole point. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy. He already getting in. This is my guy right here, man. Hey, man, he in my Discord. He a member of the channel. This is my guy, BNG, man. told y'all about Michigan. Give me some love. You right. You did. You said that. I picked USC to win. We're gonna talk about that too, man. We're gonna talk about those games. Shout out for calling it like it was, Benji. We appreciate the super chat, my guy. Yeah, let's bring in my guy Jake Murrow, man, from Set the Tone College Football. What's going on, Jake?
What is going on, everybody? Man, it's nice to be back with you guys, man. I've missed you guys. It's been a wild day, man. I'm gonna tell you what, my picks did not come through like I thought they were gonna come through. Holy smokes. I've been texting you today, Isaiah, and saying like, man, I have this and I have this, and then and one of them I flipped in the last second, and oh my goodness, I shouldn't have flipped it.
Right, stay with that first thought. Stay with that first thought now.
That's right, man. And so it's been a fun day to watch football, but also some surprising football. So man, I'm excited to get into it tonight.
That's right, man. We're gonna get into it for sure tonight, man. My guy Shawty back with us, man. Shawty, you there with us?
I hope so, man. This would be the night I have problems, right?
Right now, you good to go now, dog. We just had to sub you back in right quick.
Hey, I'm really gonna do more listening. I almost be honest with the way I'm feeling. I really don't want to say nothing until Jason get on here.
Right. And I was saying earlier, man, Jason did say earlier today on the Breakfast Tailgate that he was going to try to get in on his way out of the stadium. They do have another quarter to play. It's like 11 minutes, 48 seconds left. What I'm watching. I'm gonna say that game, man, till it's over because I got a lot to say about that game, but I just want to give a shout out right now to my guy, Mike Wilkerson, man. Mike Dub is what I call him. Student Legends podcast. Before we even get into the OU game at the end, man, he calling it like it is. The O-line is hot garbage. And it's the same thing I've been saying all off season. But we're going to get into that, man. Let's start out with that Clemson NC State game, man. Clemson jumped on their head early. I know it was 59-35, but that is not indicative of how the game went, man. It was like 42-6 at halftime, Andrew. I mean, Clemson jumped on them early.
Oh, yeah. And very much like Jake, my picks, I think, are going to go 3-7 this week. Just hot garbage. I thought the NC State, who had beaten Clemson twice in recent memory, could at least cover the 21 points. That game was over almost after Cade Klubnik rushed for 55 yards for the touchdown. And then I went and walked the dog, not long, came back, it was 28-0. And I'm like, okay, well, it's just going to be one of those games. You look into the stats. NC State got mollywopped on offense because Clemson's defense was everywhere. They forced a lot of turnovers. They forced a lot of pressure. And then Clemson went to the run game. I mean, they were hitting big plays all over the field. This was Clemson's coming out party after App State, which could have been, obviously maybe an outlier. But today, they took care of business.
Right. They look good, man. I know we going to look at NC State and say they know good, but they're a Power 4 team. It's an ACC. It's a conference win. Somebody that plays Clemson every single year. When you play somebody every single year, you start to know tendencies and things of that nature. Like Andrew said, they beat them the two previous times. So it is what it is. Clemson look good, Shawty. I mean, it's starting to make, how I always say, when you beat a team, you want them to keep winning to make your resume look good. Right. And it's starting to make that win over Clemson in the first week for Georgia look even better.
Yeah, I agree. And, at the same time, I think NC State is a little bit more, overrated. You know what I'm saying? I think they're not as good as that a lot of people thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. Again, I think they have great but they have great offensive skill set players. I still think their defense is just horrendous, man. They got to find a way to play better defense. That's their main Achilles heel. But at the end of the day, I'm rooting for Clemson here on out because, once again, to your point, that makes our win look that much better.
Right. Jake, tell me your thoughts on Clemson beating NC State like a stepchild.
Yeah, man, it's interesting because you look at Clemson, and one of the things we were waiting to see what would happen, especially after that Georgia game, was, are they going to play offense? right? We knew they had a good defense, but like where was the offense going to come from? Was, Klubenek was he going to step up and be the player everyone's kind of been waiting for? Well, he definitely showed up today. I mean, you look at what he did offensively today, and he was very, very impressive. And that offense, they look fantastic again. Oh, and touchdown Oklahoma. So, yeah, maybe they can get back into it.
Maybe.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know about that. But I'll tell you is the offense today with their quarterback, the way he stepped up, the way they played, and then NC State, of course, yeah, they're not the best defensive team, just like Shadi just said. I mean, the end of the day, like they have a bunch of athletes. I think we expected them to be way better than they have shown so far this season. But shout out to Clemson because their offense is coming together. They're looking better. Maybe that was what they needed, a good punch in the mouth by Georgia to open the season to wake them up.
That is a good statement there, Jake. Maybe sometimes you are riding that high horse thinking you got some new pieces. It's a new season. You're going to take care of business. And then you get, like Shawty always says, when you play the Alabamas, when you play the Georgias, they're the barometer of where your program is. And maybe they needed that wake-up call that, hey, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? You still got some stuff to work on. And since then, Clemson been woken up. So shout out to Clemson for getting the win, man. Shout out to Steve B, my guy. Listen, we're going to talk about this when we talk about OU. But this is what I'm talking about. This is keeping it all the way 100, man. The O-line play. The O-line play and the play calling has been absolute garbage for Oklahoma. So I don't want to hear nothing about like they reviewing this touchdown from Michael Hawkins. Hey, if they got in, they got in. But that's what we do on the Saturday Snap Count. We talk about today's games and we keep up with the live games. Currently, y'all make sure y'all keep us filled in on the Colorado Baylor score as well, because that game is going on and Baylor has been coming to play. So shout out to Colorado and Baylor, man. Now, another one of the games on the early slate, Shawty, Michigan versus USC. I tweeted out this, man. I was like, and I kind of tweeted it out in jest, to kind of joke, but it actually was true. I said, I know Michigan USC ain't just going to let Michigan run the ball right down their throat without throwing the ball. Them dudes only threw the ball 12 times the whole game, Shawty.
Exactly, man. That was the one thing that I just thought that was not going to happen. I just didn't think Michigan had that kind of mentality in them anymore. But it just goes to show, man, USC at the end of the day, bro, come on. You just can't play no physical defense at all. 2 minutes left. All you got to do is just hold up. You let a man rip off a 60-yard run. Just poor tackling. Like
Dog,
it just
that's what I'm watching the game, show them like it ain't even that they didn't not in the spot. They just poor tackling. Shout out to Mullins or whatever his name is, man. The backup run. He's the backup running back. Donovan Evans is the starter.
You know how certain teams you put on certain jerseys so the man is a non-contact jersey kind of thing. It was like they didn't want to even tackle, like they was literally reaching at the man. But yeah. So just that's indicative of Lincoln Riley and the defenses that he put out there. I thought this was a year that he was trying to turn the corner. But that just proved to me, man, they're still not physically good enough to be a contending team defensively.
Right. Jake, I'm watching the game, man, and I'm like, all these USC fans on Twitter talking about this face mask call, this missed call. I'm like, if you just tackle the guy that you put your hands on, like 20 had one run where he spent out of like 4 tackles. I'm like, y'all blaming the refs when you can't even tackle.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, when it came down to it too, is like, I think USC came in there with the mindset that they came in with a little too much swag, as you would call. You had too much, you had a little bit of arrogance about you with the way you've won your first 2 games. And you're coming off of they had an early bye. So like you sit there, you think you'd have everything on point, but you come in the big house and Michigan had something to lose. There's something about it when when it clicks in. If you have something to lose, you're going to fight like a starving dog, right? And Michigan did. They said, you know what? We've tried to play this new style of offense. It's not working. We're just going to go with what we have, use what we have, and we're just going to play as physical as we possibly can. Now, is that the identity they carry it going forward, we will see. But that was what they needed today to win in the Big House. They knew that. They used it. They only threw the ball 12 times. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right. Now we got ourselves a 10-point game. No, 11-point game. Maybe. Well, we'll see. But
it's a 13-point game. It's a flag on the play.
Yeah, and USC still should have won with all that being said.
Right. With all that being said, they still should have won.
Still should have won.
Big Bumbo. Shout out to Big Bumbo for getting in. He said fire lynch.
Man, I just think it, I don't know how much of it was, I would put it even on Lincoln for this game, to be honest with you guys. What I think it comes down to was like the locker room, like the guys, the leaders in the locker room, like they needed to come out and be like, hey, we need to get our stuff straight. Like at halftime, which we thought they did, but then to have what you blew at the very end of that game with that huge run. I mean, you had the game in your pocket, because Michigan from the second half was not the same Michigan you saw in the first half. USC had done a good job of stifling their game plan. But then it's almost like, again, you kind of got, we're good. And then all of a sudden the guy breaks off a 67, 68-yard run. Like you can't let that happen. And that's what you lose the game on. So, it's going to be interesting to see how USC responds after this one.
Right. Andrew, listen, man, 7 for 12. That's what Michigan was for passing. It's not like they were trying to hide what they were doing. They just ran it down USC stuff.
When they keep on saying that Alex Orji can pass or their other guy can pass, I mean, it's got to be bull junk, because 32 yards in the air is nonsense. And this is a team that just won the national championship. I think my takeaways is this. Miller Moss is a pretty underrated quarterback, because he's now gone on the road twice and has led his team to the best of his ability back into these games. This both LSU and now at the Big House. By no means was this Miller Moss's way of him losing or winning a game. It comes down to the fact that Michigan ran 46 times for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. They didn't pass the ball. They could stack the box. And that's the problem with USC. They knew that they were going to run the ball, and they couldn't stop them. I don't know who Khalil Mullings is, and I'm a Penn State fan. I don't know him from Adam. And he ran 159, averaged 9.4. That man averaged a first down every time he touched the ball. And I mean, shout out to Lincoln Riley, because USC was down 14-3 at halftime. Halftime adjustments. They scored 2 touchdowns back. All of a sudden, it's a new game, and then they were leading. But at the very end, Michigan, a team that needed to drive the entirety of the field, that couldn't pass the ball more than 2 feet in front of their faces, won. I don't know how. They ran the ball 17 times, and they closed it out. Great calls by Sharon Moore. Good win at home. I hope that the new Big Ten, these kind of matchups, because Penn State's about to play USC and UCLA in the next 2 weeks, I hope they're just as fun. I think this was the match of the day, just because of the names of the brands and the back and forth nature of it. Because, I think this is a great welcome into it, and good for Michigan to win, good for Miller Moss to just keep on growing. But yeah, same old, same old. It's like same cake, different slice. USC's defense is weak.
Right. Shawty, listen, Andrew hit on some points, man. Down, needing a score, needing to drive the length of the field with no passing game. Michigan was able to do that on USC's defense, man. Like, at what point do you just go zero coverage, bruh, and just like sell out on the freaking run?
Seriously.
And what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know if it was necessary they wasn't in, having outnumbering them in the box. It's just like they just don't feel they don't play assignment football. I mean, it'd be like wide open lanes and alleys, isn't it? Just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I don't even think it's a numbers thing, Coach. And to somebody in the comments on I think it was 3rd and 12, Lincoln Riley, you call a shovel pass?
Bruh. I'm like, are we trying to? Is USC trying to win the game, or we trying to get a game away? Like, what's really going on, dog? Like, I don't understand it, man.
That lets you know that what I be saying. Just like certain programs, it's like no matter how good you think they are, it's just like when you see games like this come from a coaching standpoint and from a talent standpoint, they just can't crack the ceiling.
Right. Jake, my guy B Shaw gets in and say, is USC tough enough?
Yeah, I mean, we're about to find out, because here's the next part of that is, we watched them versus LSU and we were very surprised. We were shocked by the way they had played, right? They came in. Now LSU they are not the same LSU that we've seen in the past. We saw that today, even versus UCLA. They for a minute there, I thought UCLA could pull that out. But I'll tell you though, that to start the season though that way in Las Vegas, and USC being what they were the season before, you thought, man, there's a chance they're just going to get whooped by LSU, but they didn't. Right? They won that game, and they came out and they showed that they have this kind of new look to them and this new idea. I think today we definitely saw their defense play way out of character for what a DeAnton Lynn defense plays, because a DeAnton Lynn defense is disciplined. Right? They do a great job. But today, just like Shotty said, their run fits were terrible, right? Gap control, terrible.
Terrible.
I literally just saw the highlight, and it looks like 5 tackles he broke, 4 or 5 tackles he broke to go that man, like, you have the game in your pocket. You just got to shut down the run. And you're right. It wasn't so much about stacking the boxes, it's all about assignment and detail and discipline. And we saw that today. I mean, offensively, yeah, they made some great plays second half to make that comeback. Miller Moss is a very good quarterback. Defensively, I think this is where you saw some of their where they're at in their roster with some of their maybe youth, but also with not as much depth, right? And we saw that today physically in the game. So
shout out to number 4. I think he plays linebacker for USC. He was all over the field. At times it seemed like Big Bumbo. What is number 4 on defense? Is he a strong safety or a linebacker? It seems at times he was the only one playing defense, man. And it's not like Michigan was trying to hit the edges either, Shawty. It's like they was just running right
95% between the tackles. 95% of the run between the tackles.
He's a linebacker.
A linebacker. Like he was all over the field. That dude was balling, man. And mad respect for number 4 on USC defense, man. But Michigan was able to pull it out. Shout out to Sharon Moore for knowing who he is and who his team is and sticking to his guns. He was going to live or die by that run, and he was able to live today by that run. So shout out to Sharon Moore for getting that win. He needed that win because they lost to Texas, struggled with another team, got the win, but he needed that win. So shout out to Sharon Moore, man. Another one of these early games, man, was the battle of the bottom in the SEC. It was Mississippi State versus Florida. I'm going to tell all the Florida fans this, man. Y'all been calling for DJ Ladway. Between DJ Ladway and Graham Mertz, there was only 2 incomplete passes. Graham Mertz was 19 for 21. DJ Ladway was 9 for 9, if I'm not mistaken, or 7 for 7, one of the two. But the difference is Graham Mertz threw for touchdowns. DJ Ladway didn't. Y'all gonna stop hating on Graham Mertz, man. Graham Mertz is very accurate in the intermediate. He just can't do the spectacular plays like DJ Ladway can do. But shout out to Florida for getting the win. Shawty, Mississippi State got a lot of trouble. These are the bottom 2 teams. I think me and you kind of talked about this last weekend, man. Florida and Mississippi State kind of like the bottom 2 teams, though.
Yeah. I would say this, Coach, to your point. Merce, the quarterback from Florida, I think he's 78% completion percentage. He's number 2 in the FBS. Right. Which is amazing for him to be so good at completion percentage with, them being such a, horrendous team. You know what I'm saying? Those just don't normally go together. Yeah, man, it was a battle of the worst. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to take a lot from it because at the end of the day, Mississippi State is arguably the worst team in the conference. So I'm not going to really take much from it. I think Florida's still a pretty bad team. And Napier, Sunbelt Billy is probably still gonna have a tough time winning more than 6 games.
Right, Andrew. Florida is still not that good, but Mississippi State is worse.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think they injured the quarterback too for Mississippi State. But I mean, I think this is like the gotta have it game for Florida. Graham Mertz stood up in the pocket, also moved up in the pocket, delivered some really good strikes. Also set the tone early. He was doing the 3 touchdown passes, I believe, were all in the first half, because in the second half kind of got away from them. I thought he looked pretty poised, especially coming back from missing a game or game and a half. But yeah, I mean, this was a game that had interest because if Florida would have lost, they would have tarmacked Napier. And we already knew what Mississippi State was and was not. So I was kind of looking at to kind of see like a slow moving car crash to see like which one of these two bottom dwellers in the SEC, because I'm pretty sure Vandy could beat both of those teams, as we will maybe talk about later.
Right.
That who's going to be the worst. And Mississippi State is probably the worst team in the SEC.
I definitely agree, Jake. I think Mississippi State they got a first-year coach, so it's not, it's not all on them. I mean, Blake Shapen, I think he showed some stuff today. He's actually a pretty decent quarterback. They just don't have the Jimmys and Joes to keep up with everybody. So, but Florida still, even with the win, I'm not very impressed.
100. Like, I mean, that's, Florida was that team this year. I thought, man, if they could really bring it together, what we thought we had heard a little bit preseason was a locker room, everything was feeling good, the recruiting was going really well, that there was a lot of positive signs, right? But it's funny because we got into the season and all of a sudden, as soon as they hit some adversity, they struggled, right? And so that tells me foundationally that locker room, again, a very young team, but those guys who are in leadership roles, Graham Mertz, really the leadership role that he has on this team, didn't really take a hold of it probably the way he should have. And that foundation, as soon as they faced adversity, it cracked and it broke. And now, we're seeing this point again with going into the SEC play, really, man, that you want to come out strong, which is a great showing versus Mississippi State, but Mississippi State defense is horrendous. I mean, they are really bad. And they probably, this year, they probably are the worst team in the SEC. Granted, Florida knew they needed to make some noise. They're probably sick of hearing everything they've heard, and we'll see going forward if that helps them. But because, I mean, there's something to be said about it when you just finally are over it, right? You've blocked everything out. What can we lose type of attitude. You almost felt like they took that on today, and they played really well. So can they keep a hold of that going forward? We'll see. I don't necessarily think so, though. So
I don't think so either. And it only gets harder for Florida in this match. So they needed this win. So shout out to Florida for getting the win, because I don't know if there's too many more down the road for them, because they end the season with I want to say 4 top 15 teams plus LSU, and LSU may climb back into the top 15 after beating UCLA today, depending on what everybody else does. So Florida got the win. They needed to win. Sunbelt Billy saved his job for another week, I would guess, but I think that's just a matter of time coming, to be honest with you. I think that's just a matter of time.
You get fires after the Jacksonville.
Right, okay. Right. Now, one of the more interesting games for today was Mizzou and Vandy. Mizzou survives Vandy in was a triple overtime, triple overtime, 2 overtimes, because Vandy missed the field goal. Vandy and Diego Pavia, the quarterback, man. Jake, Diego Pavia might be 5'10", 5'9" at best, but that dude be straight balling, and he's a tough competitor. And I think the team follows him like that. It was 20-20, and they actually had a shot to win in the regulation, to be honest.
They did. I mean, they honestly did. I think, one thing I've been really surprised about with Vanderbilt this season. And one thing I think that goes really far is they also are a team, right, that typically most people are like Vanderbilt. Like, I'm not even going to consider, I mean, even Nick Saban gave him a dig on College Game Day. I don't know if anybody heard that, but it was kind of funny, right? And one thing with Vanderbilt, though, this season, is they definitely have taken that identity of being gritty. Right. We're going to be, instead of being like, we're just that smart kid university, we're going to be gritty. Right. Shotty's laughing down there.
No, I'm looking at the game. I'm like, he missed that pass. He brought that pass.
Oh, I know. Trust me. This game, I can't even put my eyes on it anymore. It's playing on the side, but it's just poof. But, Vanderbilt right now with a quarterback, you're right, in that position who has that sort of tenacity. That just get out there and get the job done and do it in my way, my style. And the guys kind of fall in line with that. And you watch them be very competitive. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I really thought they should have won that game today, right? They really should have. Granted, I feel bad for the kicker, but it is what it is. You got to nail those in overtime, man. But they really should have won.
31-yarder. It was a 31-yarder, Jake. Come on, man. That's a chip shot, bro.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a hard one too when your team is fought the way it's fought, and all your brothers are out there, and you miss that, and
right.
Oh, that's a rough one. That's a feeler. But
somebody has said, man, regardless of what they did today, you got to give a tip to your cap to Clark Lee, the head coach from Vandy, man. He's changed the mentality. Shawty kind of talks about this all the time, on and off. It just matters who you get as the right guy. If you getting the same piece of the pie, meaning the same money that everybody else is getting, why not you? You know what I'm saying? And Clark Lee is kind of taking that mantra on. And he's like, I don't care that we're Vandy. I don't care that we're the academic university. We should be able to do the same things everybody else is doing if we're getting the same amount of money. That's what Shawty is always saying, man. And Vandy showed that today. I honestly thought they was going to win in regulation. I knew once it goes to overtime, my whole mentality for overtime is whoever has the best Jimmys and Joes ends up winning in overtime normally. And that's what happened today. Mizzou pulled it out. So shout out to Clark Lee and Vandy for putting up a fight. Andrew, your thoughts on Mizzou and Vandy?
I think Diego Pavia plays like a madman. He reminds me of Steven Garcia, or maybe like a Swag Kelly from Ole Miss, or at times a Johnny Manziel, where he makes chicken shit out of chicken salad. He's the entire identity of the team.
He is.
And he also does that kind of escape magician stuff. But, a 31-yard field goal should have been made. But you're right.
31 yards, dog. 31
that's
yards.
Clark Lee came from Notre Dame. He has the right idea. Barton Simmons actually came over there as the GM. They're redoing their stadium. Maybe they get some new life. But I don't think Vandy's the doormat that we've been used to. I think going forward, they're going to be the rock in your shoe that you just can't wait to get rid of. And, Mizzou didn't deserve to win this unless they had, a first-round talent like Luther Burden, who is just friggin' amazing. I mean, he just is. He's just like that guy. You're like, aha, found him. But, yeah, I mean, Diego Pavia led the team not only in passing, obviously, but running.
Right.
And they build the whole plane out of him, and it works. And they spent the money in the transfer portal from New Mexico State, and he brought his offensive coordinator over. Like, good for Vandy. They're fun, they're scrappy, and they're not the doormat anymore. So good for them. Mizzou, win your clunkers. You had a bad day, and you were at home.
Ooh.
That's got to be tough. Like, if it was at Vandy, it might have been, but this was at home. So,
I don't know, right? Shawty, listen, Diego Pavia took Vandy into Mizzou, almost came out with a win. I'm going to let you go say your part on Vandy, Mizzou. I got to take another shot because Tennessee just scored, so I got to go to the kitchen and get another shot.
And are the fans leaving the stadium it's getting a little thin now?
Hey, go ahead and tell ahead and say your piece on Mizzou, Vandy. Let me go get my other shot, dog.
Yeah, but what I say about Missouri and Vandy guys, let's not forget now. They did miss 3 kicks in regulation, Missouri. The game should have never went to overtime. And it's amazing how the same guy with the kicker who was going to get vilified for missing those same 3 kicks, it was one of his kicks that still ended up winning the game for Missouri. So, but, shout out to Vandy for making it, a good game. At the end of the day, they're still a 500 team, which is about what we expect to be 500 or maybe a little bit less. But it just looks different, right?
Yeah.
They've been very competitive in every game for the most part. And, I think that's a, testament to the head coach and to like what someone said earlier, might have been coach or some of you other guys. He just done brought a different mentality. And you're saying that how, truly when a team takes on the mentality of the head coach. And they're very scrappy in every game so far. So with that being said, shout out to Vandy. We like it, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want y'all to get too much better because if y'all keep getting better players, I know the GPA average for that team is going to be dropping dramatically.
I'm just happy that Vandy was good for about a 3-year stretch and gave me my coach. That's the last time that Vandy was relevant. If you're looking at their schedule, so they play Alabama, they're going to lose that. They play Texas, LSU, and Tennessee. Those are probably losses. But they also play Kentucky, Ball State, Auburn, and South Carolina. I mean, that's maybe a bowl team? Or at least crappy enough to like mess
tough.
around.
Yeah. I mean, the whole goal for them is going to be, can they maintain this new somewhat identity that they have kind of discovered, right? That people are saying they have. I think Clark Lee's done a phenomenal job. I mean, to coach's point, like in the end of the day, he has brought Vanderbilt into a position where they now look at themselves differently, right? But I'll tell you, man, like it's just absolutely it definitely says something about Missouri. And cheers to that, coach. Cheers to that. That's right.
He's actively rooting for every shanked kick from Tennessee.
Yeah, he's just like, come on. Just keep scoring now at this point. Yeah.
But I mean, Clark Lee's good. Came from Notre Dame. He's going to make it a good competitive team.
Yeah. You're
Tennessee,
muted, Coach.
I mean, good for Tennessee too. They went to a pretty hostile environment and they showed up.
Yeah. I think you're muted, Coach. Yeah.
Hey.
Shout out to Clark Lee, man. He's a Vandy alum. Oh my God, Jason is in the building, man. We're gonna get him in here in a minute. Like I said, he's actually at the game, so we're gonna give him a little time. But we're gonna get to that OU game here in a minute. They got about 2 minutes left, so I know he's probably trying to get to his car and things of that nature. I told y'all he would show up. Y'all thought he wasn't gonna show up. Stephen C said, "Now I can go get hammered, drunk, and depression." Don't get hammered, drunk, and depression, dog. Like, we're gonna talk about some of the things that are real and some of the things that are not real for that game, man. But shout out to Clark Lee again at Vandy. When you go back to your alma mater, to Shawty's point, man, and you figure out who the man is, he seems like the guy to get them to where Vandy wants to be. They may not be a championship team, but they're putting up a better fight, and Clark Lee understands that. So shout out to him, man. So, all right, man. Next game on the list, Jason. I got you in there, dog. We're gonna keep you there until the OU. The OU, we gotta say OU for the next one. We got one more game to talk about before we talk about OU. It's that Auburn and Arkansas. Auburn, Arkansas, man. Listen. At some point, somebody gotta want to win the game, Jake. Like Arkansas threw it to Auburn. Auburn threw it to Arkansas. Arkansas threw it to Auburn. Auburn threw it to Arkansas. It's like, dog, if y'all don't stop turning the damn ball over, bro.
Seriously, man. Crazy. Like, and here's the thing, too. It's so funny you bring that up because, Auburn came in this season with this, like, this is revenge tour. You guys are about to see us. Their recruiting gets all hot. And now you're seeing maybe what Auburn really is, right? We saw it versus Cal, right, when they had to play a little more tough football, because Cal's defense plays great defense. They always do. I'm always impressed with the way they play defense. Their coach there does a phenomenal job. But, we saw it again, right? You start to see this trend with Auburn. Well, they are right back in the same trend as last year. Right back there. And it's funny because Arkansas gives games away. Because this is the second one they tried. This is the second one they tried to give away. They like to go. They tried to. Man, they are all about really, charity. You know what I'm saying? Because they love to do giveaways, and they will rock it the whole second half all the time. So it's funny because Arkansas this game for once, that they gave away and they got in return. Right, karma came back and helped them a little bit. So it's just funny. Auburn is definitely following into the trend though of last season. So
right,
and the press conference for Freeze might be a eye opener for a lot of people, because if you haven't seen what's on Twitter, they do not like what he had to say, pushing it towards the players. So
right.
Ooh,
that's never a good thing. Shawty, it's almost like at one point neither one of these teams wanted to win the game. It was like, hey, you take it. Then the other team say, no, you take it. And then the other team say, no, you take it. They just was giving the ball back and forth. Arkansas pulled out the win, but it wasn't a pretty win in my opinion.
Right, I totally agree. But one thing it just shows, it's a direct reflection of the direction of the way the programs are going, right? Because you can definitely see Arkansas has not Arkansas, but Auburn has not made any strides forward. They have possibly regressed. And much as hell that I give Sam Pittman, I have to give him credit for bringing in Petrino on the offensive side of the ball, and it's obviously has made a difference, And so they're on an upward trajectory, and they are able to play some defense. So I'm still not sold on him as a head coach, but I have to give credit where it's due. Obviously, the move he has made have made them look like a better team. Now, I don't know how much better they are, but the optics, they look like a better team, and I think their 3-1 record shows that. So shout out to Arkansas for what they've done, and shout out to Hard Wild, man, because I know I give them a lot of hell. But, with that being said, it's a win over Auburn. I don't put much into it other than them going into Auburn and getting a win on the road.
Right. I'm with you. It's a conference win. So shout out to Arkansas for getting that. But I'm with you, Shawty. Shout out to Sam Pittman for realizing that the offense wasn't where it needed to be, whether it be the offensive line, quarterback, receivers, whatever, running back, whatever it is. Going out, getting Bobby Petrino, and that offense, regardless of how they've looked overall, that offense has been performing. They pretty much performed today, Andrew. And
did they turn them over?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh man, don't say that.
Whoa! This might be a defensive touchdown.
Come on, man,
dude. You're gonna fall over in the chair, Coach.
Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I am on one right now because of all these shots.
I told you I'd bring this just for you, Coach, right here. And I did it last year, but
I'm sweating like goddamn on
definitely a fumble.
Pig in a sausage shop, bro. Jesus Christ!
Oh man! Wow!
Come on, you get it together, bro.
I promise you, I'm gonna do more listening tonight.
Oh, Jesus. All right, my bad. My bad, man. So, any last thoughts on Arkansas and Auburn before we get into Oklahoma? Because I got Jason and I got Mike Wilkerson in backstage, and if we ain't got nothing else, we're gonna go ahead and jump into this because it's gonna take about a good 30 minutes or so to talk about this Oklahoma.
Let's hit
very quickly for a guy that came in that's been the hottest seats in America, Sam Pittman.
Yeah.
With Oklahoma State, a loss, but we saw that game. That game was Looney Tunes. And coming up against Texas A&M, which is beatable because they almost lost to Bowling Green tonight, I think he's kind of kept his seat cool. So more positive for Arkansas. They made bigger plays in the air than we were expecting. Their defense shored up. But Auburn is a complete it's a dumpster fire. So, it's a sliding scale.
Can I reply to Stephen G when you get the chance, Coach?
Yeah, I'll let you reply. But let me tell this to Arkansas fans. Bringing Malachi Singleton in the game, that's not the answer. Taylor Green played decent. I know he had the interception, but so did, Auburn. It didn't change anything bringing Malachi into the game. So, but our future, to your point, Jason has been backstage for the last 10 minutes. He ain't ducking no smoke or nothing like that. I knew he was gonna come on, but he's at the game just like I was last week. When I was doing the live, Jason's not ducking the smoke. He's been waiting patiently backstage, and we're about to get to it. Just to let you know. So shout out to Arkansas for getting the win, man. But they got a lot to fix. I don't know what's going on down there with Sam Pittman, but they won the game. Survive and advance. That's all we can say. So, all right, man. Now on to the game of the day. Looks like OU about to get in the end zone. So they're gonna make it look better than it was. So let's go ahead and bring our guys in. We're gonna bring in Jason from Hall of Fame College Football, and we're gonna bring in Mike Wilkerson of Suda Legends Podcast. Man, what's going on, my guys?
Oh, Coach. Rough night if you're a Sooner fan, but you know what? The sun will shine tomorrow. I'm still a Boomer Sooner, and I'm still standing 10 toes down what I've been telling you since before the season.
Right. Big facts. Jason, what's going on, my guy? I know you trying to get up out of there. You in the car. What's going on, guy?
Yeah, I'm already headed to the hotel, man. It's kind of tough to watch, man, but I mean, that defense is the real deal. They did everything they were supposed to do, and they haven't had that. I mean, flat out, when Nick Anderson came in to start with, he didn't last for very long. And I mean, hey, at the time they pulled J.A. out, he had a 46% completion percentage, 3 turnovers, and they had they had 76 yards of total offense on the board, and they had 2 turnovers that they had forced. You got to perform better than that. I'm not a fan of what they're doing with the play calling either, but at some point you got to play better.
Big facts. Stephen G posted this earlier when the show first started. He said it hurts having a good defense and 0 offense. Listen, I will give you that. Again, you guys do have a good defense, and the offense has issues. You don't have an elite defense. You have a good defense. I will say that.
I'll agree with you, Coach.
What did you say?
I said you have a good defense. You do not have an elite defense. That last drive before halftime, Tennessee literally ran it down your throats, and that had nothing to do with
because they'd been on the field. They'd been on the field for 8 minutes more.
But you guys said you had competitive depth. If you got competitive depth, that shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Just bring somebody else in.
You do realize they just lost Kendall Dobie there too, though, right, Coach?
I know, but we ain't gonna put all this on the offense, dog. Y'all gave up a 50-yard touchdown. You couldn't stop Sampson from running that last drive.
Bro, come on.
The defense played good, but they didn't play elite. They did not play good and elite is 2 different things, dog. It's 2 different things. They did not play elite. They played good.
Sooner or later, you're not going to be able to withstand whenever your defense is on the field that much more from what the other one is, because you can't even go one damn play from getting a turnover there. They're doing their job. And you can't even go one play without turning it back over. I'm not putting this on that defense, and it is an elite defense.
No, it's not an elite defense, dog. It's a good defense. It's a good defense. Tennessee turned the ball over. Y'all turned the ball over. At one point, it was 2 turnovers to 2 turnovers, but yet Tennessee had 19 points. So that's what I'm saying. It's a difference. You still can't give up. Listen, Georgia's offense didn't play great against Kentucky, but yet the defense still playing 2 defensive tackles.
That ain't the same damn thing, and you know it's not the same damn thing.
Listen. We normally play 6 defensive tackles. We only had 2 defensive tackles.
Wait a minute. You guys have been talking about how good that Tennessee offense is and how trash the Kentucky one is, and we're going to say that's the same thing? Come on now.
Y'all been saying y'all had competitive defense. Y'all had
There is a competitive depth on the defense, man.
If you got competitive depth, then it doesn't matter when somebody gets hurt.
Bro, you out of your mind.
It doesn't matter when somebody gets hurt. If you got competitive depth,
that's not even what I said. Not even what I said. I said they were on the field
against this offense. You practice against this offense.
They were on
every
the field
single
for
day.
10 minutes.
Every single day.
They were
every
on the
single
field
day.
for
Y'all
10 minutes
practice against this offense. It's a good defense. It's not an elite.
I'm not buying you. I'm not buying you.
It's not an elite. It's not an elite defense.
No, it is an elite defense. It is an elite defense.
No, it's not.
It's elite.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
So what happened on the fifth? What happened on the 50-yard touchdown in the first quarter? What happened on the 50-yard defense in the first quarter?
Is that what you're telling me? Only Georgia has an elite defense? That's what you're saying?
Alabama got an elite defense. Alabama got an elite defense. Ohio State got an elite defense. Tennessee has an elite defense.
Oklahoma has an elite defense.
They gave up 23 points a day.
23 points. Yeah. This is a
Hold on. We got to interrupt this because this is a good back and forth argument. I'm going to be honest. If this was a radio show, I would listen because these are good points. You know what I'm saying? These are really good points.
That's all there is to that.
We ain't putting this
ridiculous
shit. It's not an elite defense, y'all. Okay, bullshit. So why did y'all give up a 50-yard touchdown?
You know what? That damn Tennessee team that was averaging 300 yards of rushing a game that everybody was talking so much about. They held.
You said they hadn't played nobody though. You said they hadn't played nobody though. You said they hadn't played nobody
yards of carry. You full of shit, Coach.
You said they hadn't played. You said they hadn't played nobody though. That's what you said leading up to the game. They ain't played nobody.
They held them to 2.2 yards of carry. They held them to less than 2.2 yards of carry.
23 points. Y'all
get the fuck out of here. You full of shit. Full of shit.
I ain't full of shit. Y'all not elite. Y'all good. Y'all not elite.
You know what? It's an elite defense. You just think only Georgia got an elite defense. I get tired of hearing that shit.
I say Alabama got elite defense. Ohio State got an elite defense. Mike Wilkerson, what you think on the game today, dog? Elite defense or good defense?
I will say this, Coach. From my point of view, the defense today played good enough to win the game. Had OU would have had a good.
I don't disagree. I
mean, I will say this. I'm not. And Jason, I love you to death. You're my brother, but I'm not ready to. Our defense is playing awesome, keeping us in the game. But when our defense keeps us in the game, and we're playing awesome. Jason, listen to me. You're not listening to listen.
If it wasn't for that defense, say you got beat by 50 today. If it wasn't for that defense,
I know, Jason.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Jason, I agree with you wholeheartedly, brother. I agree, but I mean, I wasn't going to trash the defense today. I mean, because I thought our defense played well enough to keep Tennessee at bay. It was our offense that stunk up the place.
We run the ball first. That's what we do. We're Tennessee. Come on.
And our O-line, Coach, you seen my comment at the first of the show. Our O-line is hot garbage.
You did say that. Hey, man, it can't take the heat. Get out the kitchen, man. Shawty, what you think on this OU? Is this OU defense elite, Shawty? Or is it good? Or is it elite?
Hey, okay. I'm just gonna tell you what the numbers say, and I said this earlier on another show. And before I say one thing too, Jason, what was the exact number of points I told you were gonna take to win the game?
No, he
Shawty, you said
he dropped.
Oh, he jumped off. No,
yeah,
Shawty, you said something like 20 points or so. I can't.
5 points. It's going to take 25 points to win this game.
Yeah.
Okay. But with that being said, I'm loving it, man. I was on mute. I'm sorry. I was eating. I'm over here loving it, man. and I kind of lost my little point. But Cole, what was the question you asked?
I said, you got a good defense or they got an elite defense?
Yeah. So, but what I said before this, I told you I go by total defense. Coming into this game, you had a good defense. It was top 40. They was ranked number 37 in total yardage in the nation. That's not an elite defense. That's a good defense, but that's not an elite defense, just to answer your question. As opposed to Tennessee, they came in number 2 in the nation.
Number 2. Better than Georgia.
That's
better than Georgia.
Right.
Better than Georgia.
So it don't matter what I say and what I think. I'm just gonna let the numbers tell you.
I'm just saying, and me and Jake talked about this earlier when Jake was on Ty's show on Friday, and I was in the comments.
Hey, I had one more. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay, go. No, go. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Yeah, I want to go back to Stephen G. And Stephen G, man, I appreciate you because you said you were going. This shout out to Stephen G, OU fan. I appreciate you because I know you was keeping receipts. I kept mine too, but I ain't gonna go in hard tonight, Stephen G. All I'm gonna say is I'm glad you acknowledged it. You stood on business, but what I'm gonna say is, just all due respect, I know you want to have a good time, but you need to stay here for that ad whipping and ad licking you're gonna get. Cause that's just respectfully so. But that's just me. Appreciate you for shout out to Stephen G.
Right. Shout out to Stephen G, man. Stephen G said he was keeping receipts, but he came in, he took it. He said they had a good defense. He didn't say they had an elite defense. And shout out to Odd Future. Odd Future said the scoring defense was ranked 35th in the nation. You are not elite if you're not top 10. And Tennessee, coming into this game and leaving this game, will be in the top 5. Again, better than Georgia, better than OU. That's an elite defense. I don't care what you say, what you think you see, but the statistics don't. I can't argue with the numbers. They're better than both of us. They're better than both of us in run defense. They're better than both of us in pass defense. That's just what it is. Mike Dub came in and said the same thing. Mike Dub came in and said the O-line was trash. At the end of the day, that's where the fault should lie. The O-line, Jake. The O-line. That's where the fault should lie. That's where the fault should lie.
Well, and it's interesting, right? So this is some points because I'm tracking this as the game goes, because this is one thing that I said for Oklahoma to win this game, they had to obviously play defense. To be honest, they had to play the defense they played tonight. They played great defense tonight. I wouldn't say obviously for season long so far they've been elite, right? I count elite as like top 5 defenses for a season. That's your elite status. That's fair to say, because elite is a unique word. Like we look at the word elite, what does it mean? That's your top 5 teams guaranteed, right? And right now, those top 5 teams, what we have: Ohio State, Tennessee, Indiana, Missouri, and Minnesota. That's going to change after today, right? But definitely with Missouri. But I will say this part here is tonight, when we do look at the way Oklahoma has played, I would give them that credit of shutting down this offense the way they have. This offense averages 63 points per game. Now, they have played, truthfully, really nobody, right? In the end of the day, that's why they've put up maybe some of the points they put out. They're looks like they'll end this game with roughly 25 points unless they score again. But from there, if we look at what they typically put up on offense number-wise, 336 average per game rushing, 303 average per game passing. They are not even going to come close to average 639 yards per game, right? They are not going to come close to that tonight. So for how much, when we look at this game, and we zero in on this game, and we look at what Oklahoma was able to do defensively with how much they were on the field, you look at them, you say, tonight, your defense did play elite. Because if your offense would have played the way they maybe should have without the turnovers, you can give it to them. I would give that.
This is what I'll say to you, Jake. This is what I'll say to you. When you say you have competitive depth at every level of your defense, that means that competitive depth means that when the first string is tired, you bring in the second string and there's not a little drop off. You bring in the third string, there's not a lot of drop off. So I get the fact But I get the fact that they was on the field a lot. I understand that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't saying that Kentucky's offense is the same as Tennessee's, but I'm saying that Georgia wasn't able to move the ball, so their defense was on the field. In the first half of the Kentucky game, Kentucky had the ball 25 minutes and Georgia had the ball 15 minutes or something like that. Whatever it was ghastly, but we still didn't give up a whole bunch of points playing two defensive tackles.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. OU, if it wasn't for OU's defense, this would have been a 50-point route. This would have been a 50-point route. Oh, good
God.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, OU's defense for sure kept them in the game. But there's a difference. They kept him in the game. I'll be honest with you, Jake. I think they keep him in the game every week.
I think so. Hooked up with Elon Musk, Starlink or something. We need him back on the call. Let's get him Starlink or something.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
I think OU's defense keeps them in it every single week. All I'm saying is when you're an elite defense, you shut people down. You don't. It doesn't matter.
Agreed. I see, and I think I have a hard time with just agreed for like season long, like as you go each and every game, right? Like that would be the fair argument for every single game. Like you don't have any. There's no ups and downs, right? You don't go through a bad team and let them score. You don't go to a good team and let them put up crazy points. To hold, Tennessee's offense, are they considered the number one offense in the nation right now?
They were. Are they coming into the game? They were number 2. Yeah, coming into number 2. Game.
So to hold them to 153 yards rushing and under 200 yards passing, I am very. I will tell you this. I am very impressed with what Oklahoma did defensively tonight.
Right.
Like that is tonight you played lights out. Now season long, are you elite? No. Like I said, that elite is that top 5 for sure.
I agree with you, Jake.
You know what I'm saying?
Jake, I agree with you, buddy. And let's face it, Zach Alley has brought this defense not back, but you can tell that Zach Alley has put in the work with this defense and that linebacking core that I will say, if we're talking about elite through the whole season, if Zach Alley stays at OU and we can keep the defense healthy, which we're only losing 4 players on the defense this year, Ethan Downs, Danny Stutzman, and Billy Bowman to graduation.
Granted, 2 of them are big.
The rest,
2 of them are big.
Yeah. So Zach Alley has the potential to bring OU's defense back to elite status. Does that make sense, Coach?
Okay, I can say that. Like I think they've made massive improvements from last year. And again, I think you guys have a good defense. I really do. I think you have a good defense. But like Jake mentioned earlier, when you say elite, that's talking about top 10, or like
top 10. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like
top 5.
Listen, top 5. Well, I'm giving them top 10, Jake. Like if you can be top 10, I'm gonna say elite. And this is what I'll say. Again, Georgia hasn't played this Tennessee defense. If this Tennessee offense, let's say this Tennessee offense goes for 30 on Georgia, then I'm gonna have some questions about what we did on offense, on defense. But I'm just saying, since Josh Heupel has been there, Hendon Hooker, they had all this hype coming into Athens and all that stuff. Elite defenses keep this offense under 20. I don't give a freak what you say, what you do, what the offense does. Elite defenses show up. And this is the thing. Like all season, Clemson said they had a good starting 11. They said they didn't have any depth. They said they didn't have a lot of experience. So when they played Georgia, you saw how it wore them down because they didn't have anything past the first 11. If OU said they all they had was a starting 11, I'm good. But you say you got a competitive depth, you don't get to say I was on the field a long time. It doesn't matter. Bring in the next wave. Bring in the next wave.
And the championship teams have those waves.
That's why I was going. Thank you, Andrew. If you're gonna be a contender and you're gonna be amongst the elite, like, does anybody care that Georgia has only played 2 defensive tackles all year? Does anybody care that Alabama hasn't played Caden Proctor all year? No, they don't. As long as your quarterback shows up, that's all that matters when you're an elite team. Nobody cares about the rest of that crap. Nobody cares.
How long I've heard
know?
that my team has an elite defense and a suspect offense, and now we actually have a pretty good offense, but we don't have an elite defense. Elite is, I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to shut Ohio State down. I'm going to shut Clemson, Miami, Tennessee. I don't care who. You come to our house, I'm going to shut you down. There's about 3 teams that might actually have that. Now, Oklahoma, their defense is very good. They kept them in the game tonight.
Very good.
Tennessee was a firecracker, right? The first 3 weeks, I mean, they were scoring on everybody. But guess what? Nico Iamaleava, a freshman, went to Boomer Sooner and in a hostile environment.
A place where they've only lost 13 games in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Did enough to win. Was it pretty? Was it beautiful? Is it going to be on SportsCenter Top 10? Fuck no.
No.
But guess what? Oklahoma's offense was actually what lost them the game tonight, not their defense.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And you're not elite. I
agree.
Oklahoma's idea of an elite defense is like holding Texas Tech to 27 points. Penn State's idea of elite defense is holding an opponent to 3 points. When's the last great Oklahoma defender that went to the NFL? You're like, my God, what, Kenneth Murphy 3 years ago?
Something like that.
When you have an elite defense, you have it on all 3 levels, and you have it in waves. And that is almost impossible to do in terms of NIL, in terms of money, in terms of recruiting.
And I'm not in no way, shape, or form blaming OU's defense. This to me, this is on 2 people. This is on the O-line, and this is on the coaching, because the offensive play calling wasn't good. I know Michael Hawkins scored when he got in. That's a rookie move by BV. You stick with Jackson Arnold. I don't want to hear nothing about this. Jackson Arnold turned it over twice, but he had a lot of pressure on him due to a bad offensive line. We can't blame Jackson Arnold for the offensive woes if he doesn't have receivers that are creating separation. He doesn't have an O-line that's giving him time to make his reads. He doesn't have an offensive coordinator that knows how to call. You play against this, like this is like 2 mirror teams, and you can't call the right calls against this defense. We should be talking more about Tennessee's defense than.
So what do they do from here? Where did they go from here? They play Auburn next week, and then they have Red River against the number 1 ranked team in the country. Do they stay with Jackson Arnold? Do they go to Hawkins? Where do they go from here? Because when everyone was looking at everything, they said, you know what, Jackson Arnold, you're to the bench.
Man, the bench and Jackson Arnold ain't the answer, dog.
No. Coach, can I elaborate on that for a minute?
Go ahead, Mike.
When I was watching the game, I think it was not midway, but partially into the third quarter. Kirk Herbstreit said it's when they replaced Hawkins. Kirk Herbstreit said this: the way OU's O-line is playing, it don't care who's quarterbacking in that backfield, because the O-line is not blocking. They're not giving enough time for anybody to play and make plays. So you can take that for what it's worth, Coach.
I'm with you, dog, and that's a true statement. Steve Lee's cat says, hats off to Coach Heupel and the Vols. On a hard-fought game, it's never easy to win at the Palace. Right, again, a place where they've only lost, until tonight, they've only lost 13 in the last 25 years. But they did that, right. He keep building the O-line and start. See, I don't agree with the whole Star Hawkins thing. If you give Jackson Arnold time to throw the ball and make some decisions, maybe he can process versus the defense. But you're not giving him any time. I get you got some starters back on the O-line. This is something else that we talked about in the all season. You can't just replace 4 really good offensive linemen from last year regardless of who's starting, and think everything's gonna be, okie dokie, dog. Like offensive lines need to be cohesive.
They do.
You can't put that on Jackson Arnold. I don't. No. I'm not with that. I'm sorry,
Coach Shotty panel. I'm riding 10 toes down with Jackson Arnold until it can't be ridden anymore.
Right.
Until something happens, he's my quarterback. He's not a 5-star Gatorade Player of the Year, blah blah blah, for riding the bench at Denton Geyer High School.
Right. I'm not saying he is. All I'm saying is the dude's only 4 starts in for the most part, and he hasn't had the offensive line that some of these other elite quarterbacks have had. So we can't put it on Jackson Arnold. So that's all I'm saying. I'm like changing the quarterbacks ain't gonna stop the offensive line from being bad.
Offensive line is also a season-long project. It's not a week thing.
Right. I agree with you, Andrew, and I've been saying that since the offseason. All right, Shawty, I need you to get in here, say your thoughts on some of this stuff we're talking about.
Hey, man, I'm about to be a Debbie Downer. That's why I haven't said much. Let me say this right here, man.
Our future's so stupid, man. Our future, my dog.
Listen, man. I don't know. I'm just speaking. I don't know what happened, but I know I came on this show specifically tonight because I had questions for Jason. I don't know what's going on with his phone. I know he in a crowd of people. I don't know what's going on. So I'm gonna say this to you first, Mike.
Go.
I appreciate you being on the call and you taking whatever's coming. Yeah. But I know I listen to Jason's shows and I don't spend hours on his shows. And I don't listen to him talk about Oklahoma talk. He done told me y'all had the best offense. Y'all had the best receivers in the nation. Y'all got the best defense in the nation. Y'all got the best linebackers in the nation. Y'all recruit top 5 the last 3 years. He done been there. Y'all got the best offensive line coach in the nation. Y'all done turned a third 3-star into a first round. I done heard all this.
Yeah.
Now, soon as y'all lose, he get on here for 5 minutes, and he ain't here no more. However, so I'm just gonna say for that point right there, I'm disappointed in you, Jason, because like I said, I spent hours on your shows and watched a lot of your shows, and you get to shine and you get to control the narrative, and you're not here to take it like a man. So I'm gonna say shout out to you, to Mike. I really don't have nothing else to say about the game, to be honest. All my question was geared towards him.
Right. Listen, man, Mike Dub, my guy, he came on Thursday, he came on today. He's been saying since this summer, Mike hasn't changed up. Mike has been saying that he's worried about this, worried about that. He hasn't been touting all of these things that a lot of other OU fans, not just Jason, it's been a lot of other OU fans. Mike Dub been real with his analysis since this summer. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that, Mike. I appreciate you showing up to take it. It is what it is. Like I said, I think OU's defense played good enough tonight to win the game. They played good enough tonight to win the game. I will say that, but that's a different argument than saying you got an elite defense. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
You know thank you, buddy. Well, right,
I took that last shot from my boy Mike Dub.
Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate that. Well, Coach, I will say this. After tonight, I was high on the Seth Luttrell train, but after tonight,
thank you.
Watching that play calling, I'm like,
Right, listen, with a bad offensive line, we didn't see Seth Luttrell roll the pocket or none of that stuff. He didn't have a whole bunch of quick release plays. Like, he just left the offensive line there to kind of like Jake, you can talk about this again. You played safety, man. Like, you as a OC, when you see that your O line can't block the opponent's front, you got to figure out some stuff, some quick release plays. Let's roll the pocket. Let's get some quick hitches in there. Let's figure out some stuff so that our quarterback not holding the ball for a long time.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, granted, you know, it's funny because your offensive line, right? You put them in a position, right, where they're struggling, which we saw tonight, and you want to get that QB out of the pocket, right? You're at that point, you're saying, okay, we have to get him out of the pocket because the pocket's collapsing too fast and he's feeling that pressure and that's all he's focused on, which we saw early on with, Jackson's decision making. Granted, there was some balls dropped early on that those receivers need to pull in for sure, but let's get him out of the pocket. Let's let him feel a little more free. And the one thing it definitely does for the defense, which we saw why Tennessee, their defense is considered elite right now. I mean, their defense right at this moment in time is considered elite defense because they bring the pressure really well. They take a lot of that pressure on their secondary off, right? Well, they're big, but they, Shoddy, one thing I noticed tonight, what they do a really good job of is they really lock down the edges. Right.
Yeah. They did a great job.
So when they wanted to roll out the quarterback, their edges did a great job of understanding the depth they needed to continue to get to push him back inwards or to force him back up into the pocket and find a new lane to get out. Therefore, his eyes are taken away from the developed play in the secondary. And again, what does that do? It gives the secondary a chance to catch up. Right. And their secondary is great. Like Tennessee, that's one thing I'll give. That was a big question mark for me this season on Tennessee. Is I'm not going to come in here and say I was bragging on Tennessee because I had no idea, to be honest with you. Tennessee had a lot of new pieces, and a lot of people were sitting there going, okay, well, what are they going to be about? Defensively, one thing they have shown up, and we've seen them have baller DBs in the past, right? Some of the guys that have come out of Tennessee that played defensive back have been really good. But what did they have this year that was going to allow them to, put up the points or, hold these big passing teams under? And what they have is they have a D line that brings the pressure. They have two guys that they come off the edge who do a really good job of sealing the edge. And on top of that, they have guys in their secondary who know how to play that field and work off of their front seven, right? They know what their front seven's doing, and they know how to work off of that, identify their routes quickly, and then jump on top once they stem. So they've done a good job with putting all the pieces together so it flows together. You need that on defense. Defense it should be one single unit. Granted, right?
Honestly, like most of the time, what we've been thinking about was Tennessee's offense, right, for the past couple of years with Joe Milton falling back, Jalen
Hooker.
Hyatt. But their defense is kind of what makes them the complete team, which makes them a top 5 team this year.
Right. That's correct.
I don't think we've really recognized how good their defense and how sound their defense is. And I think
the numbers say it, though.
The numbers say they got a top 2 offense and a top 2 defense. And I've been saying that all week. I get that they haven't played the elite teams, but what I will say is Tennessee has done to the lesser teams what they're supposed to do. They beat them like they stole something. Until tonight, Tennessee hadn't even given up an offensive touchdown.
That's right.
They hadn't. And we talked all week about OU's defense. That's what I'm saying. Like elite defenses, Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, coming into the weekend hadn't given up a touchdown at all. That's what elite defenses do. Again, you can have a good defense, but when you talk about elite, that's a different story. Steve Lee says the O-line has a lot to do with play calling. Both quarterback rolled out the pocket. Arnold forced it where Hawkins threw it away. I'll agree with that. Hawkins did throw some of the balls away. I will say that. But this is what I'll say to that. Jackson Arnold's only 4 starts into his career, bro. He hasn't had an offensive line for 4 out of the 5 games that he's played. Like, I'll say he had an offensive line in the bowl game. And I know he turned the ball over a couple times, but he also threw it for over 300 yards. But coming into this season, he hasn't had that consistent offensive line. I know we like to tout Bill Beatonbow and all that stuff. And I'm not saying Bill Beatonbow isn't that guy. I'm just saying the O-line hasn't been there. So you can't put that. If you don't have a stable offensive line, you can't put it on the quarterback. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
Maybe Michael Hawkins is better than Jackson Arnold.
Oh, they got the best offensive line coach in the nation. I don't want to hear that. They had the best offensive line coach in the nation. He took a 3-star to a first-round draft pick. I don't heard that 20,000 times. He the best offensive line. Make it happen. Ain't no excuses. But what I want to say this.
Right. Outside of Mike Dub, outside of Stephen G, when we talking OU, most of them haven't even recognized that they have the issues on the offensive line. Like Mike Dub been saying this since the summer, that this offensive line ain't gonna be the same. But that's what I'm talking about. Like you can't change the narrative now. If you went into the season where you wasn't worried about the offensive line, don't be worried about it now. Don't be blaming them now. Like that's all I'm saying.
Hey, Cole,
they're gonna be pretty worried in 2 weeks against Texas.
I want to say this, and I think one thing about this is what I really want to do, and I don't want to make this an Oklahoma beat fest. Trust me, it's all in love and just all in fair and warring game. But what I want to say, I don't think also we're not giving Tennessee enough credit. They made a much better team than what I'm saying is the numbers bear out what they are. Not only have they been beating teams that they should beat like this, we can't have it both ways. Now they just beat the Oklahoma team. Because Oklahoma was a world beater. And they just put out the same numbers that were not technically statistically, but they beat up on the top 15 team pretty convincingly. So you can't. So is Oklahoma not as good as we thought they were, or is Tennessee better than we thought they were? Which one is it?
I think you're right, Shawty. I think we haven't been giving Tennessee as much credit as they deserve. Now, leading up to this game, I've been trying to tell people we keep talking about Tennessee's offense versus OU's defense, but coming into this week, statistically, Tennessee's defense versus OU's defense leaps and bounds ahead. Like other than turnovers, now OU's defense turnovers was ranked I want to say second in the nation or first in the nation with turnovers, but any other statistic, Tennessee's defense was better. And Tennessee's defense showed up. Now again, that's against the OU's offense, who offensive line can't get it done. Struggled against Houston, struggled against Tulane. But Tennessee showed up, did what they needed to do. Mike Wilkerson, you was going to say something.
Yeah, I still love Coach Bedenbaugh. I will always defend him. But here, can I use a little analogy about Coach Bill Bedenbaugh? I will say he is one of the top O-line coaches in college. But you take someone like Bill Bedenbaugh, who is starting fresh with what he has lost last year to the draft or to the portal. Think of a horse trainer who has to train 5 or 6 brand new horses that are green, that have never seen a saddle, never seen a bridle, and them horses ain't going to be broke to ride. It's going to take time to get them horses to riding level to where you can work off of them. Same goes with Bill Bedenbaugh.
My guy Stephen G gets there and says, "Can we fire BB, Bill Bedenbaugh, and get Sherrod Moore in there?" Listen, I think Bill Bedenbaugh is who y'all say he is. I think he's a good offensive line coach. I think he's one of the best in the business. But also, to that point, he brought in, y'all had to replace 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, one of those being the center. You replace the center, you replace the quarterback, you replace the OC. All of that means you replace the guys who call the protection or who call the plays. That's never a good recipe. So you can't blame the quarterback. It's just going to take time. And that's all I'm saying. It's going to take time.
And the offensive line is the unit that needs the most time.
Right. It needs, honestly, sometimes it needs the whole season. And to Shawty's point, all we've been hearing about is how it's going to magically appear all year. And
when
that's not the case.
Line magically appeared like Lucky Charms. It's never been magically delicious.
And here's the thing too: if you have a good if you could be the very best coach, offensive line coach, you could be the very best coach in the nation, regardless. I love what you said is when it comes down to it, is with Mike is that you said, like, when it comes down to it, it's like training horses, right? Like you're taking these guys in and you're giving them something new that they're not used to. And then the SEC, remember, this is year one for Oklahoma in the SEC. It's a good introduction, right?
Yeah.
Good introduction game, because
That's
here's the deal.
what Shawty been saying the whole time.
They, like, when it comes down to it, the one thing the SEC has right that is they play physical, and their D lines and offensive lines are machines. They are beasts, right? Like beasts. And so I love what you said, because it's this whole new intro. And Coach you made a great point. You have a new offensive coordinator. Granted, Seth Luttrell's been there for a year before, but granted, he's not play calling.
The main guy.
Right. Yeah, you got these new pieces in place. You lost some key things. Like Oklahoma, are they going to be okay? 100%. They're going to be fine.
Right.
I am not going to sit there and say Oklahoma.
I agree.
They're done. Now,
it
is not a game where you got to be worried going forward. I think it was a great game that allows Oklahoma to maybe have a similar mindset of what we just saw Michigan do, right? We just saw Michigan realize there are things that we need to fix, and there are things that we cannot do right now. So we have to play a style that fits what we have. And I think for Oklahoma, it's a really good eye-opening, saying, you know what? There's a style we're going to have to go with until we get things in place and a little more solid, that a little more meshed together, that we are going to have to play going forward. Like, right. I'm going to be honest with you right now, pulling Jackson Arnold, I do not think was a great decision. You really hurt a kid's confidence when you do that. And I can understand resetting his mind, and you do that by taking him out for maybe a series 2 or 3. That's a great mind reset.
I agree.
But then put him back in the game.
Right.
Do not hold him out the whole game. Not when he's facing something tough. That's a growth point. And when you have your quarterback grow, your whole offense will grow. But instead, you just took faith away from a quarterback and you gave it into another guy. And mentally, what does that do for that team, that offense? It says, we don't really know who to trust right now. We don't know which direction to go. And guys start doing more than they should. Therefore, errors are made and discipline is not followed through with. Yeah, and I do not want that, man. Like, you do not want that. So hopefully before this Auburn game, they get some things fixed. Auburn's a great team that they get to play next. I hope they whoop their ass. And I think they will before they have to play Texas. It's a good reset game. Game.
Right. Listen, I think OU is going to go to Auburn. To be honest with you, watching OU the past 4 weeks, I think they're going to go to Auburn and beat them by at least 2 touchdowns, if not more. But Stephen G says, can I ask where we go from here? Give me some hope. But to be fair, the best offense we might have faced. That's true. You have. And I think some of the talk that we've had is taken away from what Tennessee did. Tennessee came in with a top 2 defense, total defense and statistics, top 2 defense and scoring defense. And we said we all like I'm gonna just say we all looked at it and said NC State's not that good because Clemson beat them too. NC State's not that good because Western Carolina took them to the brink. But Tennessee did what elite defenses do to bad teams. They shut them down. That's just what it is. I think OU has a really good defense. I'm going to tell you right now. I am saying right now here on September 22nd, it is because it's after 12 o'clock. If it hadn't have been for OU's defense, this game would have been 50-10, just like that NC State Tennessee defense.
We would have got skulled.
It would have been ugly.
Oh, for sure you would have. Again, I think OU's defense has made strides from last year. I think they're much better than they was last year. Now, I want to take the time right now. Shout out to Danny Stutzman. Danny Stutzman was all over the field. I don't care where the play was happening. Danny Stutzman was there. if there was All-American votes right now in week 4, Danny Stutzman for sure has that vote as the first team middle linebacker because that dude was everywhere. I'm not saying that nobody else played good. I'm just saying that Danny Stutzman is who y'all said he was all season. But what I say to you this, Stephen G, Tennessee is a good team.
Yeah.
Like we're not giving Tennessee enough credit, even on this show. Tennessee is a good team. And this just like Shawty always says, when you play a really elite team, it lets you know where you are. All it is letting you know that what you need to work on. I watched Auburn today against Arkansas. I'm gonna tell you right now, if OU don't beat them by 14, then you can have some questions. I think OU goes into Auburn next week, beats them by 14 minimum. I don't think this weekend tells you anything different about where OU is. We said all offseason, OU coming into the SEC, not having DG, having a young quarterback who you need to give time with a rookie offensive line. 9-3, that's not a bad year. that I get that it's OU, but it's not a bad year, bro. Like,
no.
Hey, coach, you know what?
No, of course.
Let's face the elephant in the room, in my opinion, here too. What has essentially happened in front of OU fans' face, what they hasn't realized, they just don't flip the coin. They don't went from having an offensive-minded coach where they just used to score offense. Now they defense. They don't took on the personality of this coach, which is defense. Brent Venables has to find a way to get the offense up to the defense level. He got to find an offensive coordinator. Not saying that it's not this guy, but he got to find a guy that can match his energy. And that's basically what don't happen. They just don't flip the coin from offense to defense.
Right. I totally agree. And shout out to Kim. Shout out to Kim. He says if we play in the if game, if OU had an old line that wasn't on life support, we win this game. I don't disagree with that. And we actually said that in the SEC preview when we did it on the snap count. We said replacing 4 of 5 offensive linemen wasn't going to be easy. But some OU fans, not all, but some OU fans was like, Bill Beanbo, we not worried about the offensive line. Well, you can't backtrack now. We told you, like we tried to tell you this.
I just wanted to get to the question with John. Hey, John, I saw you had a question earlier. You said, Coach Jake, isn't that what film study is for? I guess I just wanted to what do you mean, like, regarding, did you guys catch what he was referring to with that question? Because I want to answer it for you 100%.
He says, Coach Jake, isn't that what film study is for? I'm pretty sure JA is seeing his mistakes on film and need to correct, but Latrell should have called some quick slants. Listen, John, I would say that you're on the right path. Like, Tennessee's defense wasn't being moved. The offensive line wasn't pushing them back. They wasn't getting any push. Tennessee was being able to rush upfield. You got to call some quick release plays. You got to roll the pocket, move the pocket. That's not all on JA, man.
No. And I don't know if anybody took that as like I'm referring to JA. I don't think Jackson had a bad game at all. Like, in the end of the day, the one fumble that he had was just kind of like a fluke fumble. Let's be honest with you. You see those, it's just holding on to the ball a little tighter. I mean, it's not that at all. I think he had one other turnover, but other than that, I didn't see what it came down to was putting Jackson into a position for success. And at the time they were just not doing it. Granted, again, we have to give a lot of credit back to Tennessee because they brought a lot of pressure from the inside, and their edges did a good job of containing. So even rolling Jackson out didn't necessarily look like an option because, as you saw, he would have to get deeper on his rollouts, right? And then his eyes are diverted. You guys have to remember playing quarterback here, and I 100% with film study, you get to see different things. You should know these things, but in a game, film study doesn't always work out. And Shotty, you know this. You might film study all the time. It's not necessarily going to show up exactly the way you saw in film study, right?
Do you believe that they pulled the trigger a little bit too fast with him?
100%. Like, why?
100.
The next part of this, though, is if you are going to do that and you're going to pull the trigger, what you need to do, and I said it earlier, is it's not about pulling the trigger to take away his confidence. You just need to settle his mind down, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the end of the day, the way these games work is truly from a quarterback standpoint, wide receivers and DBs. I love this. I love this analogy. It's brought up all the time. It's like going to fighter pilot school. Okay. You are going really fast and you have to make decisions in a split second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For a quarterback, hopefully you have roughly the average 2.98 to 3.40 seconds if you have a really good offensive line. Okay. So here's the thing about it. If you don't have that, here's what happens to your quarterback. He's trying to make split decisions very, very quick, or very split fast decisions really quickly. What happens is his eyes go to a pre-snap read, right? Based on what type of offense they run, they either look back at the look at the sideline, or they go into their play call, right? Boom.
Stupid. I'm sorry.
It's hilarious. I love it, man. I love it.
See, Ben G, he been on the same. Ben G been on the same calls, the same podcast, and I've been on. And literally, somebody just said that the other day about how he up not 7 a.m. in the morning running stadium. He got this, hardcore, whatever. So Ben G, you know what I'm talking about. He been on the same.
I got
That's
you.
why we need.
I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry.
That was good. That was good.
bad,
I saw the video too. It was funny. It was good.
That's why we need Jason here, because Jason could answer all these questions that me and Ben G got.
Right.
But I was also kind of like, in terms of like pulling it quickly, what does it do to like the confidence of the quarterback? Because we've seen what has happened in the NFL. And in college, it's even probably more magnified because you're talking about 18 to 21-year-olds.
That's right.
And obviously, everything is like a head case. I can't imagine how anyone does this. Yeah. But like, where do you think Jackson Arnold is going into Auburn next week, knowing that in 2 weeks we got Red River?
This is an interesting one, right? Number one, if you can really sit your room down, like this is going to be a key for the coaching staff. And I love Stephen G. I love your comment. You make a comment here regarding sitting in the second row and what you saw, what you observed from his body language. I'll say this is like real quick to go back to what I was saying before I get to what you just asked, is pulling him out and allowing him that chance to settle down, right? Mindset wise, reset your mind, go back in. Now you can, let's start seeing it again. All right. Let's come up with a new game plan. Pulling him out. This is where it changes into, I guess this is where I can answer your question, is from the next week, right? What you are going to need to do as a coaching staff is you're going to need to reestablish the confidence in Jackson Arnold. How do you go about that? Number one, it's going to be how you address the film. You can either go in there and be negative as shit and rip him, which could be detrimental for the entire season, or you can go in there and say, look, we've made mistakes. We get it. It's part of the game. We want to try something new. So-and-so, you did a great job, but here's what we're going to do going forward. It's still a competition. It's part of the game, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't compete, if you don't want to compete, you shouldn't play the game. You shouldn't play sport. Okay.
Right.
And honestly, you know what? Life's going to suck too, because you're going to have to do it when you're done playing football.
It's not like offensive line is going to change week to week.
No.
Who the opponent is.
So here's the next part.
Jay said life sucks.
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, that's just the way it works though, man. Life's a competition. If you don't understand that, then what the hell are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
That might be the quote of the night. He said, "Life sucks too."
Hey, Coach, can I ask Jake and Shotty a question since they both played the game?
Right. Go ahead, Mike.
Jake, Shotty, both of y'all played college football. Seeing what y'all seen tonight, if you was the offensive coordinator, would y'all have maybe took Jackson out of the shotgun and put him up under center and throw some quick passes, like get the ball throw. About
hey, to Mike Dub point, Shorty, when OU was trying to get 1 yard They was in the shotgun. Shawty, what did you text me?
Ridiculous.
What did you text me, Shawty?
Listen, I never understand why would you have a quarterback in the shotgun and put him 4 yards deep in the end zone and try to give it to a running back who has no momentum. Put the quarterback up under the center and let the running back run downhill, or you quarterback sneak it 3 times in a row and punt the ball.
Hey, but
That's
we
just
blaming,
bad coaching.
But we blaming Jackson Arnold though. But listen, let me get to this right here. Let me get to this.
Dude, I'm seeing
Let me get to this. Let me get to
freaking
this.
quotes
Listen,
in here.
Shout out to my guy. Shout out to my guy Jason, man. He says number 1 rushing team in the country rushed for 2.9 yards per carry. Not elite though. He talking about the defense giving up 2.9 yards a carry. Jason, I'm gonna tell you this. I hate to bust your bubble like this on national TV, dog. But Ohio State's only giving up 1.14 rushing yards per carry. Ole Miss is only giving up 1.15 yards per carry. Tennessee is only giving up 1.76 yards per carry. To boot, East Carolina is only giving up 1.80 yards per carry. So no, OU is again a good defense. I've said all along, if it's not for the OU defense, this game is a blowout. Yeah. OU's defense, I'm not blaming them. That's where we did. That's where we disagree. I'm not blaming them. I'm saying they're not elite, but they are really good. The O-line and the play calling and the coaching for me was the problem. Rookie move, pulling Jackson Arnold. That's a rookie move, bro.
Let me get back to that real quick. It's like, because going forward, what you're gonna have to do, because I see what everyone's saying, it's confidence is shot. Not necessarily, right? This isn't like an end all means all, like, you know, for Jackson Arnold. Okay, like he's gonna be okay. And what I mean by like life sucks, here's the deal. When it comes down to it, life is not easy. Okay, you don't go through life unless you're getting handouts and you come from some rich ass family. Good for you. That's great. But in the end of the day, you have to work hard. So it's called embrace the suck, right? Go look it up. You do, and you should take that mentality in everything you do. Embrace the suck. You know what I'm saying? Because things aren't easy. So here's the next part of it, right? And I know you guys like that, but the next part of it is this. Okay, is with Jackson Arnold, what do you need to do this next week to make sure going forward? Because you're right. In Texas, do you want to start that young kid? I didn't even know that kid's name, to be honest with you. Like, you're going to start that young kid? He played a great game for having to come in.
But Auburn. It's not.
But Jake, to that point, you know why he played a good game, Hawkins? Because nobody has film on him. Now Texas is going to have a little film on him. If they start him next week, they're gonna have film on him. It's easy to be the guy when nobody has film on you. I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is to the elite defense thing. If Georgia can't stop Jalen Milroe next week, we're not an elite defense. I'm saying that right now. If we can't stop Jalen Milroe, we're not an elite defense. That's just what it is. I'm sorry. Like Kim says, if wish.
Yeah.
If you can't get it done on the field, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
All I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Coach.
Matter.
And
I got two comments. One of them to Jake, and about the if Jake. I wish my wife would have embraced the suck. My ex-wife would have embraced the suck.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys out there right now are feeling that way. There's a lot of guys.
And two, about the word if. If a frog had a machine gun, a snake wouldn't mess with him.
Yeah, if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bicycle.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, that's a dope line.
I'm just trying to lighten the room up.
I love it.
That's a dope line, Mike.
That's good, man. That's good. But I think next week, man, you get Jackson Arnold, you get him back out there, and you let him sling that ball.
For real.
Sling that ball.
He's got
the thing that I want to address is this right here, with nobody has said. I think it was T Boomer. And, you know, I've had conversation with guys off camera, but this is what I've told them this before. I don't think the kid read defenses well.
No.
It just seems like he's really has
Right.
one half the field. He's play action, tuck it in the belly, and throw the slant.
Right.
The slant's not there. The first read's not there. He's not reading defense.
Right, and I agree. I'm not saying Jackson Arnold is perfect, but I'm here to say we can't put this on Jackson Arnold as far as what the offense is doing. You know what I'm saying? Does he need to read his progressions? Yes, me and Shawty, me and you talked about this in the Arizona bowl game. We talked about how he stares down some receivers. He doesn't go through all his reads. I get that. The only reason I'm telling you right now, as a person who watched Tua come in and sling it on Georgia because we didn't have any film, Mike Hawkinson looked good, or Hawkins, whatever his name is.
Hawkins.
He looked good.
Hawkins Jr.
He looked good tonight because nobody has film on him. People have film on Jackson Arnold. I just don't think this is a Jackson Arnold problem. I think this is an O-line problem. I think this is an OC problem. I get that Lebby used to call a whole bunch of pop
jet
passes
sweeps.
and jet sweeps and screens. But
You know what the issue is, Coach?
What's up?
The issue is these is problems what we've been saying, but nobody wanted to hear them. These problems always been there. That's my point. These problem has always been there, but it was always just week 1.
Right.
It's just
Also in
week 2.
2 weeks.
So
He only had. We've been saying it, but no, it was. But this be my point. When the shit hit the fan, don't act like you didn't hear it. That's what I'm saying. Don't. We've been saying it. That's all I'm saying. We've been saying this.
Right.
Oh, Shawty.
Right. Mike Dub. So what do you want to see going forward from the offense?
Going forward, I want to see the offensive line play like prisoners that's out for a day on furlough. Mean, nasty, ugly, and life takers.
Big facts. Big facts.
And 2, I want to see, like you said, I want to see Jackson Arnold make his reads a lot better. I want to see him be cooler in the pocket and not get rushed. I want to see, for the love of Pete, can we get a freaking running game established? But that comes from the O-line having to be nasty.
Right. Like give Jackson Arnold a running, give Jackson Arnold an O-line and a running game. Watch what he do. That's all I'm saying.
Manufacture some in the running game. Make some quarterback design runs where now you got 10 blockers as opposed to trying to just. You got to do something different. Throw the ball maybe a little bit more horizontally. You got to manufacture. You got to scheme up some things. Even if you're going to use Jackson Arnold and you're going to make him a half-field quarterback, scheme him up some stuff to be successful. Take off, use your legs.
Right.
Hey, Shotty, what personnel did they show most of the night? Did you see? Were they showing 11? Did they play 11?
You mean OU? You mean OU? Yeah, they played a lot of 11 personnel.
Because at this point, you have to ask yourself, like, okay, I know you guys are either in 2 options. Either you really like to spread the field and play this, what a lot of offenses do, 11 personnel and flex out your tight end, and then or bringing them tight. But at the same time, at this point, you have to also give because if in order to give Jackson Arnold confidence somewhat back, right? Because this happens to young QBs a lot. What happens is through the first couple of games, they start to feel the pressure. They drop their eyes out of their reads, right? And they drop their eyes and they just try to make sure they're not about to get sacked. So they start to look for running lanes. They do. They don't use their peripheral vision very well to see those lanes and to feel the pressure from the outside, right? So how do you fix that? You start to go into 21 personnel. You bring an additional tight end. Maybe you do a little bit of pistol with a split back forward, right? And you run it, get a little closer to the line of scrimmage if you're not comfortable going under center, right? But you bring that 21 personnel and maybe you sit that additional tight end as an H-back, right? And as you just said, Shotty, that you start to say, hey, let's design some runs, some RPOs where we look and show that we're maybe have the option to hand off. But the next thing, Jackson, if that's not the case, then you have this option on their split back where we're pulling the formation over to see if we can get our numbers better, depending on the field side or boundary side. And then from there, Jackson, you have that chance to go up like, a halfback or a zone read. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do going forward to kind of take some of that pressure off of Jackson. If they do anything, that will be a big tall tale, sign of like what this staff, if this staff can make the adjustments to correct things going forward. If they can't, then we know this isn't a question too of if BV is the right guy. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's not a question of if BV is the right guy for Oklahoma. That's not a question. And I would hate to hear if someone would start to bring that up, because I think he's the right guy. But the part about it is now it's just identifying within that staff is like, do we have the right people in place that can make the adjustments, that can make the changes and are comfortable enough and have enough depth in their knowledge with a playbook to assess their talent and change to what maybe their strengths are, so that way they can put themselves in a better position to continue to build confidence within this team.
Right. I wanna address Boomer 129. Boomer 129, you are correct. Between Kentucky's 25 and Georgia's 45, Brock Vandegrift looked good. But we also only gave up field goals. We didn't let Kentucky get inside our 20. And if you go back and watch the Respect the Hedges video, I laid into the offense the same way I'm doing to Oklahoma. Shawty can testify, because Shawty was in on the film study. He wasn't able to get in on the live stream, but he was in on the film study. We laid into the offense for not executing. But Vandegrift wasn't able to get past the 40-yard line. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're an elite defense, it doesn't matter how your offense is playing, and we play like absolute trash. Shout out to Kentucky for playing solid defense against Georgia. They didn't bite on a whole bunch of stuff. They played sound defense, but we didn't execute on offense. That's what I'm saying. So when you say we barely could stop Vandegrift, I mean, they had about 200 yards of total offense.
He only threw for 169, I think.
Right. That's what elite defenses do. Elite defenses stop you from scoring. So to your point, you are right, but we didn't give up any touchdowns. We haven't give up any touchdowns all year. Mind you, we've been playing 2 defensive tackles when we normally play 6 defensive tackles in rotation. We have the other 4 have been hurt, but we've had to play 2 because we have competitive depth, which you guys have said all season, that you have competitive depth. So I don't want to hear this guy is hurt, that guy is hurt. We had to be on the field for a long time. Okay, you still got to stop them. Tennessee hasn't scored more than 17 in the last 3 years against Georgia. So if you're an elite defense, you should have held Tennessee to 17 as well, or under. So that's all I'm saying. So tighten up. We appreciate you getting in. He says, "What's up, fellas?" T Boomer says Hawkins ran at 4-4. You're right. Again, Tennessee didn't have film on Hawkins. I'm interested to see if Hawkins play going forward when people have film on him, what he actually does. I just don't think it's time to bench Jackson Arnold. That's
no, it's not.
I just don't think that's not the answer, dog. Like, benching Jackson Arnold is not the answer. So that's all I'm saying. So
he has to continue to turn the ball over before you bench him.
Right. Stephen G says Coach Jake can be a marriage counselor, not a life counselor.
Hey man, I'm a life counselor if you like the truth, and if you want to be a little hardcore, that's just the way it is. I'll be a life counselor, marriage counselor too. If you
right.
Can I ask Mike a question whenever you get a chance, Coach?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Shawty.
I was just going to ask you, Mike. I'm not sure if you have the schedule right in front of you, but just as
I don't.
Okay, but just as an OU fan, I'm not sure what you had OU record as, but I would just ask you: was this one of the wins that you games you counted as a win to?
Yes, I did, Shawty.
Okay.
See,
I had
You behind the 8 ball right now, then, right?
Yeah, I'm behind the 8 ball, Hoss.
That's why my guys might dub, man. That might dub keep it 100, man. That's why
Yeah,
I might dub, man.
I had us winning against. Matter of fact, I don't have my list in front of me, but I had our floor at 9-3 and our ceiling at 10-2 with us
Okay.
with beating Tennessee. But I tell you what, hats off to Tennessee. They came in, played, showed up, showed out. They are legit, and they are going to be very, very difficult to beat this year.
Right. And I'll say this. I think OU wins the next 3 games. I think they beat Auburn at Auburn. I think they beat Texas because they always beat Texas. I know Texas looks like the better team. I can't ignore the fact that OU always beats Texas. I can't ignore that fact.
They always win at home too, Coach.
I hope that liquor is running.
I know. Listen, I was bit last year because I picked Texas because of how Texas looked against Alabama. Listen, man, in the last 16 years, Texas has only beat OU once. I think it may be twice.
And they're going to beat them twice.
I don't know, man. I get that they look better. I get it. It's a rivalry, though, dog, and I've been bit by this. That's why I'm saying at Auburn is a win versus Texas in the Red River is a win. South Carolina is a win, but then you got to go to Oxford.
Yeah,
Mike Dub, you got to go to Oxford. That's going to be. That's
I had us maybe winning that game, but now I'm not sure because Lane Kiffin is. You go to Oxford, I don't care who you are. When you go to Oxford, you got to go there to play. I don't care if you're Georgia, Alabama, anybody. When you go to Oxford, you got to bring your A, B, C, D, E, F, G game.
Right. I think Ole Miss plays great at home. They sometimes when they're playing an elite team, they struggle on the road, but at home. I've been saying all season, this is one of the games I definitely think Georgia loses. They could pull it out, but I'm just saying Ole Miss at home, that's a tough win for I don't care who you are. That's a tough game. Shawty, like OU the next couple weeks has at Auburn versus Texas in the Red River, South Carolina, then at Ole Miss. How you feeling about OU in those next couple games?
I think between those 3 games, they lose 1.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't say which combination or which one it would be, but between those 3, they lose 1 for sure. That's just a tough schedule.
I got you.
Are they home? I don't know if they're home or away.
So they're at Auburn. They're neutral site against Texas in the Red River, and then they're at home versus South Carolina and on the road versus Ole Miss.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's tough, man. I mean, it's fair to say that they lose one of those for sure.
Right. But this is what I'm thinking overall. I'm thinking OU's 9-3, 8-4 overall. First year in the SEC. First year starting quarterback. First year OC. I think that's a good year. I get that OU doesn't like those terms. I think that's a good year for the environment that they've been put in.
That's better than where Vegas had yet.
Right. Vegas had them at what? 7.5?
7.5.
I got him at 8-4, 9-3. I think that's a good year. But Jake, what do you think of Stevie G's question here? He said, did Tennessee just claim one of the 12 spots? I be honest with you, Tennessee been playing to a level that I think if they keep the level up, they've already been playing at a level for the 12 spot.
Well, when I look at Tennessee's schedule, right, they have Arkansas next, then Florida, and then they have Bama, then Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Georgia. So really, if we look at that schedule, I feel like their 2 hardest games are going to be Georgia and Bama. After that, you know, they between the rest, there's not a whole lot I think that's going to be able to compete with them, especially number wise, as far as putting up points, and then has the offensive firepower to even kind of beat up on that defense a little bit. So that's going to be interesting. I think if anything, if Tennessee does, they maybe lose 2. You know, between Georgia's secondary is phenomenal,
Mhm.
and Bama. It's going to be really interesting. I feel good about Bama in that game just because of what I've seen from Womack, but at the same time, it's going to be really important to see this Bama again. Do they stay healthy? And on top of that, does their secondary continue to mature, especially at the cornerback with some of the young guys they're rotating in? So from Tennessee's standpoint, I'd say those are their 2 games where it's going to be maybe the most challenging. The next part of that, switching over to Oklahoma, I can't feel good about predicting anything until I see how they respond versus Auburn, because there's a lot going on right now that I'm seeing in here, and I'm saying, if BV's opening the starting quarterback position, all right, like now we're going to test the mental fortitude of these guys, especially Jackson Arnold. Like he's about to his like, do you have the mental attitude to go out and fight? That's really what it comes down to, because this is now, if you don't, then this is going to be a rough one going forward for Oklahoma, because what does that do to the entire team? Right now, on top of that, it sounds like some of the injury issues. So I need to see no matter what, I know it's Auburn, I get it, but what is your response going to be? Like you need to put up probably over 35 points, and you need to hold them under 10.
That's a good point, Jake. That's a good point. In the SEC, it's about how you respond.
That's right.
It's not when you lose. We get it. Everybody loses in the SEC. It's about how you respond when you lose, regardless of who you play. It's about how you respond. You got punched in the mouth. Tennessee came into your house. They did what not a lot of teams do. Not a lot of teams go into Norman and beat you. So they did that. How can you respond? Auburn is not a good team. We can all agree on that. Right. Auburn is not a good team. We need OU to show up next week or the week after, whenever they play. I don't know if they have an off week or if they play them next week, but they need. I actually do play them next week because we play them on October the 5th. So yeah, they do play them next week. You need to go into Auburn. You need to lay it down like you are the Sooners. And figure it out. Shout out to my guy Steve G. He says also, Coach, next time I'm at the bar, please give me some breaks before you say competitive depth. It's a drinking game. Listen, man, I'm on one right now because listen, y'all told me how good y'all defense was, so I said, every time Tennessee scores, I'm gonna take a shot. And listen, hey.
Here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. Take it. Here we are, dog. Here we are again. I do think the defense played good tonight. They did hold Tennessee under. Listen, your defense played good when you hold the team under their normal standard.
I mean,
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with it.
I'm impressed. I mean, 194 yards passing. They only had a total of 347 yards when they averaged 639 yards a game. I mean, for what you did defensively, I'm impressed. Because if Tennessee shows up week after week, which I believe they will, and put up some serious numbers, then we can all say Tennessee has an offense that is probably one of the top offenses.
If we were playing horseshoes and hand grenades, where it was all about getting close, that would be awesome. This was a football game.
True fact.
Right.
So no moral victories. No moral victories.
No.
Right. If Tennessee does the same thing October 19th, third Saturday in October versus Alabama, then we'll see Tennessee is legit. I'm just saying tonight, Tennessee.
Last time they threw the goalpost in the lake.
Right.
Yeah, they'll lose their minds.
Garrett, what's going on, my guy? He said Seth Luttrell of Florida.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys a quick question, because I know it's getting late. We're probably about to top out of here.
Right.
But just to put things in perspective, man, and Coach, you and I will have our rankings next week. But how far do you drop OU with this loss into your top 25 rankings? Just an overreaction show at this point. You know what I mean? 22.
Look.
Well, so I'll say this just for reference. Me and Shawty do a show every Thursday, and we rank just the SEC, not overall, just the SEC. And coming into this week, we both had OU at number 7, just in the SEC.
Just in the SEC, okay.
Yeah, right. We had like Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Alabama, Missouri, and Oklahoma in some form or fashion. So coming out of this week, I don't think OU loses a whole bunch of space.
LSU jumps them.
I would say LSU definitely jumps them because they won. In my particular poll,
Texas A&M
because they won, but in my poll, South Carolina was 10. I don't have South Carolina over OU because on a neutral field, I think OU smashes South Carolina. But I do like Tennessee. Tennessee may move up in my poll, Shawty, to be honest with you, because I said going in that this game would look a lot like Georgia versus Tennessee 2022.
So you're going to take Tennessee over Ole Miss, but hold them before Alabama?
They was already above Ole Miss.
Oh, I had
no, they weren't.
They're going to leapfrog Alabama.
In my poll, Tennessee was already above Ole Miss and Alabama. In Shawty's poll, Alabama and Ole Miss was above Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Tennessee holds pat. Georgia was off, so they couldn't go up or down. Texas, I'm pretty sure, is about 60-0.
They played ULM. I'm pretty sure.
I think I moved Tennessee in front of Ole Miss.
I think Tennessee has a really good win over Oklahoma, but I think they stand pat at 3.
They'll stay Texas.
So I had them at 5, I think.
You had them at 5 below Alabama and Ole Miss.
Yeah, so they'll probably move up in my list.
Who's 4 right now?
He has Texas as a 1, Georgia as 2, Alabama as 3, Ole Miss as 4, and Tennessee as 5.
I would put Tennessee 3 because they
I already had Tennessee
a
at
better
3.
team on the road.
Right, I already had Tennessee at 3.
Yeah, mine ain't about wins and losses.
Like 3 deck chairs.
Khalil Cooper gets in and says, I like Bama's defense versus Tennessee. That's a good point, Khalil. This is when we're really gonna see what Tennessee's offense really can be. Like, I feel personally, everybody has a different opinion. I feel like Alabama has an elite defense. So if Tennessee can move the ball and score like they could against OU, against Alabama, that's against an elite defense. Then yeah, they're legit. But
would you be surprised if it was like Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Bama?
I wouldn't be surprised because Ole Miss.
I can't put Ole Miss in front of Bama. Who's Ole Miss playing?
Okay, Bama over Ole Miss. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. See, if I look at it, go ahead.
With the win,
on
the road,
100.
So Texas,
Georgia,
Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss.
Yep. And see, that's the next part. Is I almost feel better, to be honest with you.
Ohio State 6.
Oh, you're saying? Are we saying just SEC or what?
So we were talking about SEC. We were talking SEC
because like Ohio State.
See, we were talking. So on Thursdays we talk just SEC. Nobody else, just SEC.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about SEC, you're talking about the best conference. So, yeah,
right. See, I don't know if I would even jump LSU. Who they beat? They beat freaking UCLA.
LSU, they beat UCLA by 17.
I mean, okay, so maybe
fellas. Garrett, you my guy. You a member of the channel. I love the way you support. I've been OU tonight, but let's not get ridiculous, though. Y'all are
going to make a bowl game.
Come on, bro. Like that's not what we're saying today.
Now, if he's a young one, he hasn't understood what Oklahoma was.
Come on, dog. We not dog.
You know,
Dog,
crash
if you
out.
dog, come on, dog. That's definitely not what we saying. That
Dog
is
In
shit.
my
for
day,
sure not what
Harry
we
Switzer
saying.
was fucking quarterback.
You are my guy, dog, but OU's going bowling. That's not the case. We talking about the difference between elite making like being top three in the top three in the conference, top 5, top 10 in the nation, and being good. But OU's going bowling, dog. Like, come on, dog. Like that, we not gonna do that. We're not gonna act like OU's not.
It is pretty wild, but they're the 6th best team in the SEC.
Yeah, we basically talking about winning 12 games or 10 games.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. A good team, you can win 10 games a year, but being elite, you want to be winning 12 games or better.
But the funny thing is, like with the SEC, when you have like Texas number 1, Georgia number 2,
Stephen G.
it's like right there. And then Alabama number 3. Oh, we're gonna hit it with that. Oklahoma, and it's gonna be in or around there. But Ole Miss is now very good. And then we have Mizzou being very good. Like the SEC is going to be setting the tone for the college football playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have 5 teams.
Right. Shout out to our girl Janet, man, getting in on set the tones to say what's up, Coach I. What's up, Coach Jerry Murray. We appreciate you, Janet.
What's up?
Man. We appreciate that. Stephen G says BV just said O-line needs to be better. Thank you. And he is frustrated on watching the same mistakes week in, week out. BV watching coach. That's what I'm talking about. The O-line is the problem. It's not Jackson Arnold. It's not the defense. It's the O-line, which we've been saying all off season. That's what I'm talking about. If you don't believe me, just listen to BV. BV, according to Stephen G in the press conference, just said the same thing. No, the O-line's got to be better. That's all we're saying. All we're saying. So Kenneth B says everybody loses, but mostly Auburn. I'm not mad when Auburn. It says Auburn will look good against us. No, they won't, Garrett. No, they won't. They don't have a quarterback right now. Auburn couldn't move the ball against us 4 and 5 people in the chat. I guarantee. Like, they are terrible, dog. They are absolutely terrible. So.
Auburn. Not to mention, I think again that Freeze did not help himself out tonight with what he said in the press conference. I'm going to be straight with you.
What did you say,
dude?
I'm sorry.
You sit there. He basically said, "Well, we need a running back. We need a quarterback." Granted, okay, yeah, you do, but
that was his fault. Why didn't you?
You took zero credibility.
Why didn't you go
100? You took zero credibility. You put it all on the team, and I'm going to tell you what. There's nothing wrong with going in, but in having to criticize your team, but at the same time, there's kind of that saying is praise them on the outside, criticize on the inside, right? Because the last thing you want to do is make it public to people. There's no reason. It's almost like shaming, right? Shame. It's like freaking Game of Thrones, dude. You don't need to do that, man. Look, you had a rough game because you obviously got a lot of problems over there, but at the same time, to sit there in front of cameras and take zero of the blame, that's not what leaders do, dude. That's not what a head coach should do. That never helps your culture going forward. Right. And you might see some recruits start to bounce out of that class.
Steve G, I can tell you, come Thursday, OU will not be out of my top 10. That's getting way too ridiculous. They lost to a top 16. Again, what we're talking about, the minuses or the weaknesses for OU, this is compared to a Tennessee team who's doing this to everybody. That's not going to drop you out of our top 10. You lost to a good Tennessee team. That's the point we're trying to make here is we've been trying to tell you how good Tennessee is or how good the SEC is, things of that nature. So that's all we're saying. We're not saying that OU is a bad team by no stretch of the imagination. If you're thinking that OU won't make a bowl game, That's ludicrous. Like OU's making a bowl game with their hands tied, but it's the elite status that we're talking about. That's the difference.
OU is making your top 10?
In the
SEC.
In
Yeah.
the SEC. Every Thursday, we do our college football picks. We talk about the SEC top 10, not top 10 nationally, just the SEC top 10. Garrett says, I'm already sick and tired of SEC nonsense. Hey, you're here now, Garrett. I'm sorry, but this is what we do. This is the SEC. If fans are crazed, it just means more. That's why we say it just means more. Go ahead, Charlie.
Stephen G, what you gonna do with them receipts you got, my boy?
Saying, can we go back to destroying the little 12? Right, man. Hey, listen, man, we've been going for like over 2 hours now, man, and I think OU's taking enough abuse for the night.
Yeah,
so,
man.
We're going to go ahead and end this thing, man. And I appreciate all my guys jumping in. Appreciate my guy Jason. Again, he's in transit.
I'm disappointed.
I know, but he's in transit. Don't think he's running. I get it. He's in transit. I was in transit last week. It's different trying to hop on. You ain't got all the. You ain't got your. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got your environment. You ain't in your studio and things of that nature. So shout out for Mike Dub though, man. Shout out to Mike Dub for showing up and getting in here and standing pat, standing firm on what he's been saying the whole time. I don't think it's over for OU. I still think the same thing that I've been saying all season. 8-4, 9-3 is what it is. It's the first year in the SEC. They can literally win the rest of these games. I don't think they will, but I think they can. So I don't think the answer is benching Jackson Arnold. When you don't have film on Micah Hawkins, then of course he looks better. Going forward, when people have film, he's not going to look as good. So that's what it is, man. Shout out to my guy Andrew. Shout out to my guy Jake. Shout out to my guy Shawty. Shout out to Brinsky. Shout out to Stat Guy. Shout out to Jason, Hall of Fame College Football. Y'all make sure y'all go into everybody's channel and subscribing. I know JJ hasn't been here in a minute, but he will probably be on here in the next couple of Saturdays talking college football with JJ Kitchens. Charlie Parker 758 with Just My Damn Opinion. You know to find me and Stat Guy. Andrew on Twitter at SSN Penn State, Jake at coach _ Jake Murr, Jason at CFB-pod, and our honorary member who hasn't been on since the season started, Brisky at Sharpshooters Podcast, man. We appreciate everybody getting in. Your boy a little lit. That's what it is. But, hey, listen,
Shout out to Tennessee.
Shout out to Tennessee for holding your boy accountable, man. That's what it is. Hey, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe on everybody's channel, man. We'll be back next week, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Saturday night snap count. Hey, it's going to be Alabama versus Georgia. Maybe you guys get to hold me to the fire. Maybe you get to hold Jake to the fire. Right. I don't know. We'll see next week. We might be in the same seat next week. So shout out to everybody, man. Embrace the suck, like Jason says. For everybody, man. We out of here, man. Fat at it.